And welcome to the Jets and Giants show, a podcast all things New York Jets, New York Giants. I am Gabe. I'm your host for today. It is just myself today, so thank you guys for joining me. The fellows are still sitting back as Jets fans, like they are. No kidding. Honestly, it's just me kind of bringing you the first quick thoughts, first impressions. I just finished watching the Hard Knocks New York Giants offseason second episode. And but before we get into that, please like, rate, share, and subscribe. You guys already know the drill. Just taking care of that maintenance. Reminding everyone, if it's your first time here, thank you guys for joining us. And if it's not, thank you for coming back. All right. So as I mentioned, this is we're recapping the very second episode of the Hard Knocks offseason with the New York Giants. This episode was actually a lot better than the I don't want to say a lot better, but I would say just a little bit more excitement. I thought the first episode was awesome. I liked the first episode quite a lot, but this episode specifically just kind of had a little bit more juice going for it. We got a chance to see, a little bit more kind of more player interaction as they went through the combine. This time we also got a chance to kind of hear a little bit more from Dable, as he was the one kind of leading the quarterback interviews and stuff, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But just real quick, my general first impressions. Again, this second episode was actually a little bit more revealing, not in the content, because obviously it's already done. We already know how everything has turned out so far for the offseason for Giants, but just in how certain things played out. The GM's job and Joe Shane and the things he has to do to prepare when he's talking to the media, or, his thought process and stuff. When it comes to negotiations and interactions, with not just with players, with other coaches, with other teams, and so on and so forth. But also with Dable, and getting a little bit more from him. Yeah, let's go right into the combine. Again, the this episode featured heavily the combine. That time that that we, as they call it, the underwear Olympics, where Dable and company get a chance to see some of these college players that they didn't get a chance to catch on tape, and of course, some of the bigger names that they were already ready for. Something that kind of struck big with me was their process for interviewing and checking out quarterbacks. Now, I don't know how other teams do it. This is, again, the very first time that we're seeing something like this, I think. And they were, Joe Shane alluded to having a very different process for interviewing quarterbacks and making a decision, or rather getting feedback on quarterbacks, than they do any of the other players that they're looking at during this combine. And this is where Dable got a chance to shine. Um, it was honestly it was interesting. It showed a lot of what we actually already knew about Dable. He's kind of fiery. You could see that he's a competitor, through and through. Even in some of the jokes that he was making, with how competitive he is on whether he can like run a 40-yard dash at all. I think that he honestly believes that he can actually, compete there. But what was most impressive to me was how he was trying to kind of trip up the quarterbacks as he's interviewing them, asking them for their favorite plays, then messing around with their favorite plays, to try to kind of see if they can kind of follow his rhythm, how fast they can kind of recall instructions from Dable, asks and stuff like that, and trying to get like a very direct look from these prospective quarterbacks from Dable. And it was just actually really impressive to see that kind of interaction. It really felt like this was a physics professor trying to quiz a student on some sort of crazy equation, and then messing with that equation, just to kind of see if he can like kind of keep up, right? So that was a really, really cool piece. um but another part of the Dable interviews and stuff was the wide receiver interviews, and this actually, to me, was it's a little concerning. I think that we do generally kind of have these concerns about Malik Neighbors already, where it feels like Neighbors maybe isn't too thrilled about being a New York Giant, And I think we actually saw that in the interviews. Joe Shane, he kind of made a comment that kind of opened my eyes a little bit. Um, where they're all in love with Neighbors. They saw the tape, they love what they're seeing from the tape and all that stuff. However, in their interview, he seemed so reserved, and Joe Shane made a note of that. He didn't expect that kind of personality from Neighbors, compared to like what he saw on tape and stuff. And to me, that tells me, especially after him being drafted and kind of like some of the stuff that we've been getting from him post draft, it seems like he kind of knew already, at the combine, that he really didn't want to talk to the Giants. He didn't really want to be part of the Giants organization, in my opinion, just from the body language, from how reserved he was. Clearly, he was just trying to go through the motions in that interview. Maybe in his mind, he was thinking, all right, if I don't give that great of an interview, maybe they won't be so high on me and stuff. Um, you know, it's already done. He's already a giant. But it's interesting to see that there. I don't know. I do feel like there's going to be a bit of a butting of heads between Dable and Neighbors. I think, just from a tough personality that maybe doesn't want to be a New York Giant, and then Dable, who has this very kind of tough love kind of attitude. I don't know how Neighbors would respond to that tough attitude, to tough love attitude and stuff. So I don't know. That's going to be a bit interesting from that point. So those are kind of like the major things that kind of came out of the episode when it came to the combine itself. Um, but another thing that also, you know, I don't want to say concerning, but telling, is the Saquon Barkley talk. Now, in the episode, they also addressed, as they started off with the news about the cap increase, which made some changes. I think had a lot of changes, or rather, a lot of changes or plans were affected by the change in the cap increase, and that includes the negotiations with Saquon, and stuff. uh, and you got wind. You knew that before the combine, they already knew that they weren't going to go with franchise tag. They already kind of made that decision beforehand. But that news didn't come out just yet. They wanted to make sure, I guess, that they spoke to Barkley first before they went out with that, at the combine. At the combine, where it was that everything was on the table, but really they already kind of made the decision that they were going to let him test free agency, right? Um, the reason I say that it was quite telling is in the conversation with that the show ended with between Joe Shane and Saquon Barkley. Um, Joe Shane made some really good points. You have a chance to be a legacy player, Ring of Honor, the whole nine. With being a Giants legend, is that worth $1 million more, which is kind of what it seemed like they were kind of far apart on and stuff. um Joe Shane didn't want to go into this kind of negotiating battle and disrespect Saquon Barkley by giving him an offer that he think he's valued at. So he wanted him to test agency first. So he comes back with that number. He didn't want to disrespect him. He didn't want to kind of have Saquon, I guess, take an offer from another team out of anger. So I think he did the right thing, right? It's like, they're not going to tag him. They don't want to, disrespect him with the value. So go test out that value and come back to us with what that value is. Maybe Joe Shane just truly doesn't know what, Saquon Barkley's value actually is, which is, he said as much in his phone call with Barkley. Okay. This is where I had kind of the part to me that's a bit telling. Barkley on that phone call seemed so uninterested in the conversation with Joe Shane. He seemed so uninterested in Joe Shane's thoughts and stuff. Uh, I don't know if Saquon Barkley knew that the cameras were going to be rolling for this Hard Knocks take, off-season take and stuff, but Saquon just didn't seem very receptive. Joe Shane told him straight up, go out there, test free agency, and just come back to us and give us a shot. Just tell me what other teams are coming at you with, and I'll see what we can make work. He kind of, say he's like 50-50. I think he truly was okay with seeing Saquon Barkley leave, but I think he also wanted to keep him if he could make it happen. Um, so, uh, but Saquon Barkley's, Joe Shane asked or told him like, "Hey, do I have your word that you'll come back to me, with an offer that you give us a shot?" And Saquon Barkley's response was not so confident, in my opinion. He literally said like, "What you mean? You know where I've been telling you like where I want to be and stuff." And he said, something along the lines of, "Do you mean like circle back with you?" And Joe Shane, yeah, just tell me that you'll give us a shot. And Saquon Barkley just says something along the lines of like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And that's kind of the feeling that I got, whatever. And what I got more from that whatever is that it feels like Saquon Barkley kind of already maybe knew what was going on. Again, we know that like, we get the news, but these conversations are already happening and stuff. I think maybe Barkley already kind of like had an idea. Maybe didn't have an idea where he was going, but maybe mentally he already knew that he was going to be a Giant for everything that he said. Even his last interview in the locker room at the end of the season, it felt like he already knew that he wasn't going to come back to the Giants. So I would love to know. I would have loved to have known, how early on he got these offers or maybe these little chirps from the Eagles and stuff, but I get the feeling that decision was already made. Whereas the Giants and Joe Shane were really kind of just hoping that he'd come back to them. And I think with the new cap space, I think they would have been able to make it work if it was just a couple $1 million. I know that he signed 15, which is three more than what they had. I think they offered him what, 13, something like that the previous year. So I guess two more than what they had originally offered. Who knows if they would have accepted that? Who knows if maybe they would have made him an offer that may not have been the 15, but would have been able to keep him in New York. But again, it just seems like Barkley was kind of already checked out. So those are my thoughts. I'm super excited to kind of see the next episode. It seems like the Saquon Barkley stuff, they're going to kind of drag it out probably through all the episodes of the series. It is kind of like the juiciest content, the thing that everybody wants to know about, myself included. But I like that I'm getting kind of like a little bit of the snippets, a little bit of the leading up to Saquon leaving and stuff. I would love to I can't wait to get to the point where we get Joe Shane's reaction to everything. And I also want to know if Saquon actually did come back, with an offer to the Giants. I don't know. I believe that he didn't. I believe that there wasn't a chance, but I would love to know if Joe Shane at least knew before it went public that an offer was made by the Eagles and that he accepted. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the second episode. Again, I can't wait to see the following episode, next week's episode. So I'll come back to you guys with those thoughts. Again, thank you guys for watching and sticking through. And again, don't forget to hit that like, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.